Hi, boys and girls. We are going to start making our final sun today. So you should have picked up your paper from the school, and you've been given information about that already. And the first thing that we want to do is make a frame for our image. So remember that the only thing that will be seen on your Square One artwork when they send stickers or if you order anything, it will be from the black line here all the way down. And remember that this is the top. So if you were to accidentally turn this upside down as you're working and draw your sun upside down, when they scan it in, they will turn it back around and this will be the top. So you want to make sure that you're not drawing upside down at any point in time. And if you somehow get to the very end and realize that you have, then I need for you just to email me and I have a way that we can fix that. Okay, so you're going to start with a ruler. Most of our school rulers are 1 inch wide. So that's the size of the border or the frame that we're going to create. So you want to put the edge of your ruler along the edge of that black line, and then you need to hold it very tight and draw a line across on this side. So that gives you a space that is 1 inch wide. I think that this ruler might be a little bit more than 1 inch, but hopefully you guys have just one of those plastic school rulers and you can just use that. Okay, same thing all the way around, except that now we're not using the black line to match it up with, we're using the edge of the paper. So lining that up with the edge of the paper, I can just barely see a sliver of white, and then I'm going to hold it tightly and draw that line. Okay, and then I'm doing the same thing all the way around. The purpose of making this frame is so that as you're drawing your sun, you don't get it kind of over to the side too much, because when they scan this in for Square One Art, sometimes they crop it just a little bit, not really intentionally, it just kind of happens as part of the process. And I would hate for your sun to be over here and for a portion of it to get cropped. So we want to keep it right in the middle. All right, if you don't have a ruler, another thing that you can do is just grab like some scrap paper, any little note paper, or even a sticky note. I'll grab a sticky note, that would work. And what you want to do is just decide for yourself about how much of a border you need. It tells us right up here. Important details should be at least 1 inch from the edge of drawing space. So you want to get kind of a close to 1 inch. So you can just sort of guesstimate that. I usually will kind of use the first knuckle on my pointer finger. So that's a little less than 1 inch, but that's okay. So I could make that mark, and then I could just kind of go around and line it up and make a mark at each end where I need a line. And then I would take another straight edge, which could just be a piece of paper, and then I would just use that paper to make those edges connect. Okay, so let's say my marks were here and here that I made from this, and then I would just draw the line across. And you could do that all the way around. You might need mom and dad's help for that, because that can get a little complicated. But once you get that frame on there, you're all set. And for some grade levels, I drew the frame, but I thought my second graders could handle making your own. The next thing we want to do is get a circle on here. So if you have something that you can trace, that's perfectly fine. You're welcome to trace a circle. You don't want it to be too big. So let's see, I've got this little thing just sitting here. You need to have enough room inside of it to draw the face and enough room around it to draw the sun rays. So there's my circle. Remember last week you were supposed to practice different types of sun rays, and so You can make them however you want. They are just representing the light that shines from the sun. One that I do a lot and students often want me to show them how to do is this sort of wavy line. It looks just like the waves of the ocean, and I'm just trying to make it go around that circle. So I find that it works better if I turn the paper as I go, so that I'm always drawing up. Another way to think of this is like a letter W. It's a W line that you just keep making and making until you reach the other side. Like that. Okay. So, but if you wanted to do yours like triangles, that's perfectly fine. There's a lot of different ways you could do it. So that is your choice. Okay. Then you're going to draw your face, and everybody has their own idea about how they want to draw the face, so that is also just up to you. Let's see, I'm just going to draw a big, happy face. Make a simple nose. A lot of times students get hung up on what the nose should look like. If you just make a little U shape or curve shape, that's perfectly fine. And I'm kind of twisting that mouth off to the side a little bit. You can put some rosy cheeks on there if you want to. You want to make sure to fill in the eyes. Let's see, another thing I should probably demonstrate is if you're going to make glasses, because a lot of students like to do the sunglasses. So I'll give this guy just some regular glasses, and then you would color them in if you want them to be sunglasses. So I'm just going to make the bar right here that would go across the nose. And then the shape of the sunglasses would be totally up to you. I'm going to make these big circle frames since they are actually regular glasses. Okay, and then I would come back out here with that actual border of the frame. And I'll be coloring that in with Sharpie, so it won't really matter if it is not straight right now. I'm going to connect these a little better. You do not have to draw this kind of sun. Remember that. You're putting your own expression, your own type of sun. So I'm just doing this for those who might want glasses on their sun. All right. So if these were sunglasses, the shape, again, would be up to you. You would not see the eyes. You would color this in solid black, okay? And you guys probably have these emojis somewhere that you could look at and see. I'm going to make that a little thinner. Okay. We also want to decorate the frame in some really simple style. So I'm going to put some little spirals here. These could be little heart shapes or stars or whatever you want them to be. Okay, and then along here, I'm going to make it look kind of like wood. So I'm just going to make some little lines. If you have a wooden table at home, you probably can kind of see how what that texture looks like. But you guys could put wavy lines or zigzag lines or dots or whatever you like. Remember this, you're going to have to trace all of this with Sharpie or crayon, so don't go crazy with the lines. You don't want to have so many that it's going to be a pain for you to trace. Okay, and then finally in the background, which is this part behind your sun, you could add some details if you want, maybe some windy lines. Think of it like the sky. You could have some stars or some clouds. I think that's what I'm going to do. I'll add a few little clouds back here. All right, and then we're tracing it with Sharpie. So I'm going to speed up as I do that, but one thing that I want you to remember when you are tracing, it needs to be a permanent marker, because when we color over permanent marker with regular marker, it will not smear. But if you use a regular marker like one of these black Crayolas, like this, if you use that, it's going to smear when you color over it. So we don't want that. You need to use a Sharpie, or if you're not using marker for this project, if you're going to use crayon, then you're just going to use a black crayon. And those should probably be the best choices. You could paint it and use black crayon to trace everything. That's not what I'm going to be demonstrating. That's not what we do at school, but you're welcome to do that if you want to. So if you would prefer to paint it, I suggest that you trace everything in black crayon, nice and dark, so it will stand out. And you'll notice as I'm tracing things that I sometimes will fix them as I go. So right here where I feel like I made that one side a little too wide, I'll just fix it, and then when I'm done, I'll erase all those pencil lines that I did not trace on top of. All right, so here we go. Okay, my hands are tired. That was a lot of coloring. So let's just kind of quickly recap here. We've got all warm colors on the sun. I added a little rosy cheek for mine. You could do that. You could do freckles on the face. Totally up to you. But we need to stick with warm colors except for the parts that are black or white, like the eyes, and if you want to add glasses. And the background is cool colors. So blue, purple, green. Remember, it's also any combination of those colors. So if I had aqua, which is blue and green mixed, that would be fine for a cool color. On the sun, if I had a, let's say like a yellow orange, which would just kind of be an in-between of those two, that works for a warm color. So any mixture of those colors works as well. For the frame, we are going to get to choose whatever color we want. So I'm going to use brown on mine, but you wouldn't have to do that. You could make yours look like a gold frame if you wanted and use yellow. You could use a cool color as long as it's not the same color as your background. I wouldn't use that same blue here because then it won't really look like a frame anymore. It will just blend in with the background. So the frame color is your choice, but it cannot be the same color as the background. And don't make it, I would suggest not to make it black. Gray would be fine. Black will be a little too dark. So I'm going to show you myself just quickly filling that in, and then we are done. This is a lot of work, and in class it normally takes us at least 3 class periods. So when you need to stop, stop. Take your time. When you get tired and your hands get achy from coloring, we start to get sloppy. So if you feel that way, just take a break and come back to it, even if you need to come back to it the following week. I want you just to take your time as long as you can get this in by the deadline, which I think I set at March 1st. So, all right, guys, have fun. And as you can see, even our markers get tired from all that coloring. So my brown is wearing out on me a little bit. I'm going to give it a break, maybe shake it a little bit, and then I'm going to come back and try to darken this up. I don't really mind it having a little bit of that texture because it is meant to be a wooden frame, but it won't show up great when they copy it off onto stickers and other products if I don't darken that up. It needs to be a little bit more like what I've got up here. So I'm going to come back and do that, and then we are done. Okay, I got that a little bit darker. It took me a while, and I think that's about as good as it's going to get. So the very last step for us is to sign our artwork just as an artist would, but it is super important that you know where to do it. We don't want to sign down here because, like I said, when they scan it in, sometimes they kind of crop or trim a little bit of the outside of the artwork. So that's part of the purpose for the frame. We're going to put our name right in here, and I want you guys to write your first name. That's all, just your first name. Whatever mom and dad call you by is fine. You do not need your last name. I'm going to write my last name because that's what you guys call me. So I'm going to put Helms. I could put Mrs. Helms in here. Let's see, maybe I'll do that. Mrs. Helms, and then I'm going to put a 21 for the date that I made it. Okay, and I know that's a little bit hard to see, but it is there in the corner. Maybe that helps right there. Okay, and then you're all done. You don't need to do anything up here. If you did get a little bit of marker up there, that's totally fine. Let it dry because marker can be pretty wet, and if you were using crayon and paint, then obviously you need to let it dry. And when it's ready, bring it into school, put it back in the folder that you guys picked it out of. With your name up here, it should have your sticker. If you have any questions or any issues, just message me. And remember, you need to have it back in that folder completed by May 1st. I hope you had fun. Bye, guys.